All right, 7 o'clock. I'll call to order this special meeting of the Mount Pleasant City Commission this Thursday, August 26, 2021, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Clerk, can you take the roll?
Heather, your audio's not working.
Commissioner Alsager,
I'm in the city of Davenport, Scott County, the state of Iowa.
Commissioner Simon,
I'm in the city of Mount Pleasant, Isabella County, state of Michigan.
Commissioner Gillis,
Mount Pleasant, Isabella, Michigan.
Commissioner Ronan,
City of Mount Pleasant, County of Isabella, in the great state of Michigan.
Commissioner Toles,
City of Mount Pleasant, Isabella County, State of Michigan.
Vice Mayor Hirschbacher,
I'm in the city of Mount Pleasant, the county of Isabella, in the state of Michigan.
and Mayor Joseph.
I'm in the city of Mount Pleasant, the state of Michigan, or county of Isabella in the state of Michigan. All right, it looks like everyone is here. Tonight, we just have one item for the agenda, which is to consider the next steps for the city manager search process and to provide direction to Walsh Municipal Services. Frank is with us tonight. And so I think everybody's kind of up to speed on where we're at. We had a motion at our last meeting to offer a second interview to two of our candidates. And unfortunately, one of our candidates decided not to go proceed with the second interview. And so I'd like to ask Frank just to sort of lay out what our options are tonight and how we can proceed.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, Manager Ridley. Well, before I get into the options, because there are several options before you this evening, I wanted to just kind of highlight quickly the last 4 months. We surveyed 37 stakeholders in the city of Mount Pleasant, including staff and the city commission. We drafted a community profile of 11 or 12 pages that was approved by the city commission. And in there, I want to remind you that you said you'd like to, one of the things you were looking for is a person who'd been a manager for 4 to 7 years. All 4 of the candidates before you, their combined service as an assistant or manager is 32 years, an average of 8 years. So if you take the average, they all exceeded. Three of the 4 exceeded what you listed that you were looking for. You said you wanted someone with financial prowess. I would guess the work that's been done in the area of pension and the budgeting by Mr. DeSense exceeds that criteria. Utility infrastructures. Not only does Mr. DeSense deal with water and sewer, he also has electric in the city of Eaton Rapids. Project management. If you talk to the city of Leslie with infrastructure, they had a huge issue with iron in their water. And Mr. DeSense came in and was able to help solve that issue. Communicator, I'll leave that up to you. Problem solver. I think the analogy or the example that Mr. DeSense provided on Saturday about the $3 million grant that was in between gubernatorial leadership, I think he solved that rather well. And then grants, I think there's a lot of experience there. Planning, he's developed a 6-year capital improvement plan. Downtowns, he's been a leader in the Main Street program through the state of Michigan. And unions, he has extensive experience. Those are the things you laid out. I wanted to touch on how he meets the criteria. And I'll leave that up for you. Your options, I see 6 of them. There may be more, But I thought you would want to know what your options are this evening, because this is not uncommon for a proceed forward. It happens often, more than I'd like to see. The first option is to conduct a second interview. If you don't know enough about Mr. DeSense, you can invite him back for a second interview. That's your one option. Number two would be a second interview, but bring back two candidates. If you're not comfortable with Mr. DeSense or want to compare him to another candidate, you could do that. Three, you can make a conditional offer this evening. And that conditional offer would be based on a background check and successful contractual negotiations. That's option number three. Option number four is to go back to the list and see if there's anyone else that you wanted to talk about, bring back, look at. That's always an option. Option five is to restart the process. We have the profile completed. We could place it in the next week or so, it'd be around Labor Day, take applications through September. I just wanted to go what the timeline would be. And then in mid-October, you'd be interviewing roughly with a tentative starting date, probably around January 1st, if we open up and did the process over. And then you could, option six would be to seek additional references. I've happened to know this. I happen to have known this candidate for approximately 5 or 6 years that I've known him personally. I've done reference checks in Eaton Rapids and Leslie. I even talked to the former mayor of Leslie, not the current mayor. So 6 options. Again, a second interview with Mr. DeSense, bring back 2 candidates for a second interview, make a conditional offer, look at the list of candidates that we had and go back and see if we missed anyone, restart the whole process, or seek additional references on Mr. DeSense. As I see it, those are your 6 options that are before you this evening. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have out of anything that's happened in the last 4 months in this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. I open the floor to any questions for Frank, or we can begin discussion. Okay. Don't everybody raise their hand at once. Commissioner Alsager.
Well, I'm happy to speak first. Of the different options that Frank laid out, it seems to me that Aaron DeSense had support of many of the commissioners on the first go round, and that we thought highly enough of him that I think I would go with option number 3, which would be to give him a conditional offer of employment. And so those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner Alsager. Commissioner Ronan.
Yeah, Aaron was the most frequently reported candidate when tallied across the commissioner's shortlist during the commission meeting on the 23rd of the month. He was clearly identified as one of the top 2 candidates. The other candidate in the top 2 position withdrew his application. I moved to extend a contingent offer of employment to Aaron DeSense to serve as Mount Pleasant City Manager. The offer is contingent upon a comprehensive background check and successful contractual negotiations.
Okay, we have a motion. Vice Mayor Perschbacher.
I will support that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to offer conditional offer of employment to Aaron DeSense pending background check and successful negotiations. And
I don't know if you can see it, but Commissioner Tolis does have his hand up.
okay, if for some reason,
Yeah, because he's on the phone, it shows on the attendee list, so it doesn't show up on the screen. I'm sorry, but he does have his hand up.
that's okay. Thank you, me. Commissioner Tolis.
I just want to make a quick comment that I'm kind of disappointed that John declined the interview, but I think the handwriting was on the wall after he had watched the Monday night interview. I think John and Aaron were both the 2 top picks. I really don't think we should waste more time. I think we should just go with option 3, offer him the job and see what happens at that. I'm not in favor of bringing a couple of the other people back and going that route or starting from scratch. I think we have too much time into this. They were the top 2 candidates, and I think we should proceed with option 3, excuse me.
Commissioner Gillis?
Yes, I'd like to thank Mr. DeSense for wanting to continue the conversation with us. I really appreciate his patience and his willingness to work with the city commission. And I also want to thank John for Mr. Hannafin for all his time and energy that he gave us. I appreciate his interest in Mount Pleasant and to continue his future wherever his path will take him. So I am also in agreement with option 3.
Well, I would, just a couple thoughts. I also agree with the commission members that have spoken that I think offering Mr. DeSense an offer of employment is the best way forward. And I would like to thank all the candidates, including John and Aaron, for their time and their efforts, and especially including Suzanne and Justin, who also, spent probably even more time learning about the city and coming in for interviews for 2 days. They put a lot of work into that process, and I think that's a testament to how our community is viewed outside of Mount Pleasant, that this is a desirable place to work and be, and that we have a lot to offer. And so I really appreciate the responses that we've gotten over the last 4 months, and especially in the last few weeks. It's humbling. Well, I don't see any other hands up, and so stop me if we're going too soon, but it looks like we can vote on the motion. Okay. We can vote on the motion to offer Aaron DeSense a conditional offer of employment, given a successful background check and successful contract negotiations.
Commissioner Ronan,
Yes.
Commissioner Alsager,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolis,
Yes.
Commissioner Gillis,
Yes,
Commissioner Simon,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hirschbacher,
Yes.
Mayor Joseph.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, the motion has carried. Frank?
Yeah, I want to thank you. I know at times it's been a bumpy road and I know there's still work to do, but we're going to get there, and this is going to come out to be I think a really good thing for the city. I want to remind you, when I interviewed to handle this recruitment, I specifically remember a question that came from, and it was either actually Manager Ridley, I think, asked the question. And that was about 3 words that I had on my 17-page proposal. Service, well, might have been 4 words, service after the search. And I remember Ms. Ridley asking, what does that mean? What that means is I don't just walk away when this is over. I care deeply about Mount Pleasant. My daughter is a Chip. I have family that lives right around Mount Pleasant and has lived there for a long time. And I have a brother who's an Elma. So this is an important community. And I'm going to pledge to all of you this evening to, I know that Mr. DeSense, if this moves forward and if he becomes the manager, he'll have Manager Ridley also available to lean on. And that's a great resource, don't get me wrong. But I also want to know that I will be available as well. I know Aaron, we work really well together. And I want to see him succeed, and I will be helping in the background to make that happen if we're able to move forward together. So I know it's been bumpy, but I've enjoyed the process. We've got a little bit ways to go, and just thank you very much for the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you very much, Frank. It's been a pleasure. Commissioner Ronan? Oh, George, we can't hear you.
I don't know if we get to ad lib here or not, but I wanted to thank Frank, and I wanted to say, look, there was an article in the paper, and maybe we're not supposed to comment on that. That was sort of negative. I can tell you, if you had public viewing of searches done, and I'll probably get fired for this, but if you had public viewing of searches done at the university, you guys wouldn't even make the list. So I think everybody's had strong passions. I think everybody worked hard, and I think it was, I guess it was perceived, but it's what people do who are very bright, who work together, who have strong opinions about things. And I'm very proud of everybody and what happened. I don't necessarily resonate to what was in the paper. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ronan. Commissioner Gills? Oh, Lori, we can't hear you.
Thanks. I also want to thank Mr. Walsh for working with us for this last 4 months, doing a diligent job at trying to recruit through the state of Michigan and beyond. And I am very impressed that you are willing to stick around to help us even after the fact. So your work is appreciated and recognized. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Mayor? Oh.
Yeah, I do have one question, and it's about just a committee to help with the contract negotiations.
Right.
And because it's been kind of tumultuous, I haven't fully reached out to everyone, but I was hoping that we could maybe continue the committee that we had set up earlier with Commissioner Tolis, Commissioner Alsager, and myself, if you guys are willing to serve, and if that's okay with the rest of the commission.
And Mayor, just to clarify, what you're anticipating that committee to do would be to work with Frank for those contract negotiations and bring a recommended contract back to the full commission, correct?
Correct. Yep. Does that sound good to you, Commissioner Tolis?
I have no problem with that, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner Alsager?
I have no problem with that either.
Okay. For the record, I saw a lot of head nodding, but if so, I assume that's okay.
And if I may, Mayor,
yeah.
I want to thank Frank for bringing some star candidates in. And I think you brought some really good stars with John and with Aaron. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could make a comment, please. I agree with Commissioner Ronan. You had a very difficult job doing public interviews. I don't think there's anything harder to do public interviews and then reach a decision-making process in a public process. I do have to say I was a little disappointed that I don't think we put our best foot forward as a community on Monday night, but I am very happy to see that we've made some progress and we're ending up at what hopefully will be a good spot for our city as we move forward. It's going to take the 7 of you working cooperatively together, though, to make that transition go smooth, assuming Mr. DeSense accepts the offer of employment and you can reach some negotiation, a contract with him. And I just want to reiterate, I gave you 6 months notice because I wanted a smooth transition, and I remain committed to that. And I will do everything I can to help with that transition, both during any overlap you decide to have, but also after that when I will still be in the community to help with that. So if there's things you need of me, I will continue to do that to help out with that, however this process ends up.
Thank you very much, Manager Ridley. It's always been an honor to work with you for the last few years, and your reputation as a leader, not only here in the city but around the state as a city manager, it checks out. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Elsager.
I have two things. I would also like to extend my thanks to Frank for the process. And then I did have a question about, I thought I read somewhere that the committee working on the contract would also be working with Suzanne Gandy. Is that correct?
Suzanne will certainly be a resource to you, especially as you get into the benefit discussions, because she's most familiar with the benefits we have available. So yes, she will be readily available to you.
Okay, thank you.
With that, I think we can go to announcements on city-related issues and new business. I have one thing, a couple things I wanted to say. Today is August 26th, which is the 101st anniversary of the 19th Amendment being certified. And so there is an event being held at Artreach that's celebrating that event. I got the pleasure to be there this afternoon, and tomorrow afternoon they're continuing festivities. And if you can't make it in person, it is being videotaped and will be shared. So a very important day in our history. Also, I'd like to just remind the public to consider being vaccinated if you already haven't. With the Delta variant coming into Michigan and causing case numbers to rise and hospitalizations to rise, it's very important to consider getting vaccinated. And I encourage people to seek advice from their healthcare professionals if they have questions. Any other announcements tonight? Okay. All right, I think with that, then, with no hands up, we'll go to the public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. And if you're with us by the public, you can go to the bottom of your screen and hit the raise hand button. Or if you're with us by telephone, you can hit *9. Manager Ridley, do we have any emailed comments to the commission?
No, Mayor, we do not.
I recognize Maureen Eke.
Maureen, you should be able to talk now.
Okay. Good evening, and I'm glad that you that you have considered hiring a new manager, and I'd like to thank current manager, Ms. Nancy Ridley, for all the work that she's done. I have enjoyed getting to know you and working with you, and I'm glad that you're staying to provide some institutional, memory for the person who is coming, after you. There's nothing as important as having somebody there who knows the, the history and, the place to guide you for at least a few days or a few weeks before you leave. We do need that institutional continuation. And so I'm happy that you are doing that. I am also happy that Mayor Will Joseph has talked about or has encouraged people to go get vaccinated. In fact, I wanted to find out what the city's policy is on, COVID, what the city's policy or protocol is regarding COVID, both in terms of masking and vaccination, especially for people working in city offices, bearing in mind that we have a new variant now that is threatening everybody. In some areas, there has been indication of a 300% spike in cases, and we are a small community. We're a small community. Students are coming back in a few weeks, so this community is going to double within a few weeks. So what is the protocol that the city has with related to COVID and masking or vaccinating or whatever we have to do, should there be any kind of, problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. I don't see any other hands up, and so at this time I will close the public input on agenda and non-agenda items. And that brings us to the end of our meeting tonight. Just like to thank everybody for a good meeting, and stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. At 7:25, we are adjourned.